Have you ever discovered a show that was fantastic and thought, wait, how have I never seen this before? Or found a series so good that you say to yourself, yes, I found my new favorite show to binge watch, to later find out that the show only has 13 episodes and didn't get a second season? Yeah, it's happened to all of us before. So today, I'm going to talk about the 10 best TV shows that only lasted one season, Freaks and Geeks. Freaks and Geeks is a teen comedy drama series that aired on NBC from 1999 to 2000. The show focuses on two groups of teenagers, the Freaks. The older kids, Daniel Desario, played by James Franco, Ken Miller, played by Seth Rogen, Kim Kelly, played by Busy Phillips, Nick Andopoulos, played by Jason Segel, and our main character of the series, Lindsay Ware, played by Linda Cardellini. Then we have the Geeks, younger teens that consist of a group of three, Bill Haverchuck, played by Martin Starr, Neil Schreiber, played by Sam Levine, and the main character of this group, Lindsay's little brother, Sam Ware, played by John Francis Daly. The show takes place in the 1980 through 1981 school year and follows these teenagers as they go through the ups and downs of being a high schooler. What's really interesting to me about Freaks and Geeks is that it's the first look at the Judd Apatow universe and characters. Under this umbrella are classic films like Pineapple Express, The 40-Year-Old Virgin, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, Knocked Up, and Superbad. So this series holds a lot of cultural significance and can be viewed as the start of it all for Seth Rogen, James Franco, and Jason Segel. In the show, Lindsay is a smart student who is good at math until she starts hanging out with the Freaks. She starts to become more rebellious and stops following the rules of being a straight-A student. She experiences things like smoking green and attending late-night hangouts with the crew. This causes frustrations with her parents as they start to notice the girl she's turning into. When we're not watching Lindsay party with the Freaks or hang out with her on and off boyfriend Nick, we tune into the Geeks and see that Lindsay's brother Sam deals with his own set of problems, like trying to be cool and fit in with the cool kids. Whether he makes the right or wrong decision, he's always backed by his two best friends, Neil and Bill. Also, this trio has a lot of dialogue between each other in the show, talking about everything under the sun. Parents, girls, popularity, you name it. With all of these A-list actors and Judd Apatow at the wheel, this show had to be a major success, right? Wrong. When Freaks and Geeks aired, it had a strange episode schedule that was very inconsistent. It's been reported that creator of the show Paul Feig and executive producer Judd Apatow had some internal conflicts with NBC that badly affected the show's production. NBC had a different vision for the show. They wanted to make high school seem cool, while Apatow wanted to give a realistic viewing of an actual high school experience. Creator of the series Paul Feig said that everyone involved wanted Freaks and Geeks to be a success, but the network didn't understand the concept of showcasing life as ordinary teenagers. After NBC greenlit the show and picked up the pilot episode, the president of the company, Scott Sassa, was replaced by Garth Ancier. This guy didn't understand public school life because he went to boarding school in Princeton. So, reading between the lines here, it seems like a great show about an average teenager life fell into the hands of a rich guy who never viewed the world through the eyes of an average man. Freaks and Geeks produced 18 episodes in total, but NBC canceled the show after airing the first 12. The unaired episodes would later premiere on Fox Family and other channels in the year 2000. In 2014, Judd Apatow said of the show's cancellation, quote, "Everything I've done in a way is revenge for the people who canceled Freaks and Geeks." So he really took this personal. Freaks and Geeks has gained a massive cult following over the years. The show was nominated for various awards and actually won an Emmy Award for Outstanding Casting for a Comedy Series. Rightfully so, as Freaks and Geeks had an all-star cast. The general reception of this series is that it was amazing and told a high school story very well. Fans think this show could have been a lot more than it was, and I couldn't agree more. MTV's Downtown. Downtown is an animated series created by Chris Pernowski that aired on MTV in November of 1999. The show follows a 24-year-old guy named Alex as he goes through his sometimes boring, but sometimes wild and adventurous life. He works at a copy shop and has his own apartment in New York. But this show isn't just about Alex. It's about everyone and everything around him. Fruity, a cool guy who can pull girls with ease. Goat, who is an older guy who hangs with the crew. Goat is usually to blame for the funny scenes in the show. One character who really makes you think while watching this show is Alex's best friend, Jen. See, during the show, Alex has a crush on a goth girl named Serena, but as the episodes go on, you start to wonder if Alex and Jen might be more than friends, and we almost get an answer at one point. But I'm never one to spoil a show, even if it's 25 years old. The look of this show is very unique. The colors and animation are unlike any show I've ever watched before. Oftentimes, when someone is telling a story or imagining something, they show it on screen in a bizarre way so you can understand exactly what they're talking about. Something else that is very interesting about MTV's Downtown is the way it was created. Chris Pronowski and some colleagues went to Ludlow Street in New York City and approached random teenagers with cameras and microphones, asking them about their day and experiences in that part of town. These people who answered questions were offered to do voice acting on the show and would go on to voice characters like Chaka and Mecha. Pronowski spoke about this in an interview with Vulture, saying, quote, "Being out at night is when you find the good people, the people that are willing to talk to you about whatever thing they are doing, whether it's drunk people or kids just hanging," end quote. Approaching an animated series from this real-life perspective is really cool and definitely contributed to this show's relatability factor. During Downtown, we see everything from house parties to WWE's Undertaker making an appearance. Downtown is a great show and was received very well by audiences everywhere. It was even nominated for a Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Animated Program in 2000, and that was for the episode titled Before and After. However, this wasn't enough to convince MTV for a second season, and the show was canceled after producing 13 episodes. Chris Pronowski set out to make this series a late 90s time capsule, and I can confidently say he did just that. If you've ever seen my home media collection, then you may have gotten a glimpse of this, my rare promotional DVD of MTV's Downtown. I was lucky enough to find this online a couple of years ago, and it's one of my favorite pieces in my collection. If you don't have this DVD, no worries. Every episode of this show is currently on YouTube. Unlike Freaks and Geeks, Downtown is a more forgotten about show, most likely because it has never been on a streaming service to the best of my knowledge, and the DVD is really hard to find. Gary and Mike. Gary and Mike is a claymated buddy comedy series that focuses on the life of two best friends. They travel across the US with no destination in mind, just living life to the fullest and leaving a path of destruction behind them. Gary is the more normal, aware, good guy type, while Mike, on the other hand, is the more wild, down-for-anything type of person who always gets into something. During the show, we watch as the fascinating duo get into some crazy but hilarious situations. Mike is usually looking for the next woman to hook up with, but Gary, usually unknowingly, dives into his situations with him. What really sticks out to me about this show is how beautiful the claymation is. The characters and backgrounds look spectacular. This show also has a really cool opening, and I really like the theme song. Gary and Mike was originally pitched to Fox. The sizzle reel for this pitch was animated by Corky Quakenbush, and the characters look completely different. Fox decided to greenlight the series for 6 episodes. 6 episodes were made by Fox. Fox then decided to give the show up to UPN for unknown reasons. UPN gave the show its due and added 7 episodes to the lineup so Gary and Mike could have a solid 13-episode season. Created by Adam Small and Fax Barr, Gary and Mike first premiered on UPN in January of 2001. After an episode of Friday Night SmackDown, viewers enjoyed the wacky comedy the show offered, and it even won 2 Emmy Awards for Outstanding Individual Achievement in Animation, also receiving nominations for Outstanding Music and Lyrics. Unfortunately, during the show's run, UPN aired a few episodes out of order, which caused some confusion for the audience, as plot point continuation was broken more than once. The show still did fairly well, and a second season consisting of 10 episodes was in the works. But around this time, UPN was having major financial problems, so they made a decision to cancel Gary and Mike, leaving the show on a major cliffhanger because in the final episode, we see a "to be continued" message on the screen, leading us to believe that we're going to get a second season. After the show's cancellation, Gary and Mike would air on Adult Swim and Comedy Central for the next few years. If you ever read reviews of Gary and Mike, they are always positive. One reviewer in 2002 wrote that this show is the only reason he would watch UPN, and ever since it got canceled, he never went back. They also go on to complain about the crazy late hours that Comedy Central would air these shows, but that he would drink an extra bottle of Mountain Dew to stay up and watch. Another reviewer called this show a truly excellent road trip, saying it's Bill and Ted meets Chicken Run, or Dumb and Dumber meets Wallace and Gromit, calling Gary and Mike a must-see show. When it comes to claymated shows, this might just be the best one of them all. LA Doctors. LA Doctors is a medical drama show that centers around 4 doctors running a practice in Los Angeles. Dr. Tim Lohner, Dr. Roger Catan, Dr. Sarah Church, and Dr. Evan Newman. I want to start off by letting you know that this entire series is lost media. It's not streaming anywhere, and no episodes are available to watch online. As some of you may know from watching my recent video about almost finding the Proud Family pilot, I collect VHS production tapes. These are tapes of TV shows that were used at some point in the actual production or sometimes promotion of a show. What interests me about production tapes is they usually contain unreleased content or episodes that never got a home media release, as well as early cuts of certain episodes. I'm mentioning this because a few months back, I purchased a production tape that has a few pilots on it. The King of Queens pilot, which is the main reason I bought the tape, an episode of Everybody Loves Raymond, the pilot episode for the Brian Ben Show, an obscure comedy series from the 90s, and last but certainly not least, the LA Doctors pilot episode. Without this tape, it would be impossible to add this show to the list, or review it in any way, so this part of the script will be based on the pilot episode alone. Let's get into it. We start out with one of the doctors on the phone when he sees a car wreck happen right next to him. A middle-aged guy rams into an older woman, and as Dr. Newman runs over to help, the guy starts telling him that the woman is drunk. He is being aggressive with the doctor, and that's when Dr. Evan Newman shuts him down. From this opening scene, we can tell Dr. Newman is a great guy who really cares for people. 3 of the doctors sit down for lunch, and we can see right away that they are very different people. Dr. Catan is the man with the plan, full of confidence and probably arrogance. He thinks he has it all figured out. Dr. Newman is a nice, intelligent, aware guy who has a good heart. Dr. Tim Lohner is the straight man of the group. He does his job well and follows all rules accordingly. He is also a family man, as we learn later in this pilot. Right off the bat, Dr. Catan and Dr. Newman begin having minor disagreements about their new practice. Based off of this scene, we can tell that Dr. Lohner is going to be the man in the middle who keeps the peace between these other 2 doctors. Next, Dr. Newman is talking to one of his patients, and the conversation gets heavy. Just like that, we are brought from the rich life of a doctor back down to the harsh realities they face at their job. This show is well written, feels like a very realistic portrayal of a doctor's life. Later that day, one of Dr. Launer's patient's daughter requests to see Dr. Catan. We soon find out that the girl is pregnant and doesn't want her parents to know, hence why she wanted a different doctor than the one her parents uses. Dr. Catan sends her to a therapist and doesn't tell Dr. Launer. He ends up finding out anyway and gets into a heated argument about this situation with Dr. Catan. Even though Dr. Launer isn't a rule breaker, he's old school with his thinking and believes the parents of the girl should know she is pregnant. The two doctors can't come to a mutual understanding on this, and during the argument, other issues between the two come out, as Dr. Catan gets on to Dr. Launer for always leaving work early to spend time with his family. Dr. Launer fires back, telling Dr. Catan he has no idea what it means to be a parent. You never wanted children, you'll never have children. These words seem to deeply affect Dr. Catan and knock down his ego tremendously. Dr. Newman diagnoses his patient with stomach cancer and feels terrible. He later finds out that he diagnosed the same guy 6 months ago, when he and the other guys were miserable working at a doctor's office, seeing hundreds of patients a week. This reminds him why he and the other doctors started their own practice. Also, I wanted to mention that the office assistant for the guys is played by Anna Maria Horsford, the mom from Friday. She is a perfect fit in this role, and I wish she had more screen time in the pilot. During the episode, we learn that Dr. Newman is a single dad. The guys decide to bring on a female doctor to join the practice, Dr. Sarah Church, who Dr. Newman has a crush on. She seems like a cool character, but we don't see too much of her in this episode. At the end of the pilot, we see Dr. Newman visit the patient from earlier, having beer together and ensuring this man has some good memories during his last days. This is a perfect pilot episode, and after watching it, now I really want to watch the full series one day. LA Doctors premiered on CBS in September of 1998 and produced 24 episodes in total. Judging by the number of episodes made of the show, it seems like the network was really behind this one and thought it would be the new hit show playing in everyone's living room. Unfortunately, the time slot for LA Doctors matched up with ABC's Monday Night Football. This really affected the show's ratings in a negative way, and it was canceled in 1999. As if we needed any more convincing that this show could have been a hit, LA Doctors actually won the People's Choice Award for Favorite New Dramatic Television Series in 1999. It's really strange to me that a show on a main network that produced 24 episodes never got a home media release. Lucy, the daughter of the devil. If you watched Adult Swim in 2007, then you may remember a show called Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, brought to you by Lauren Bashard, creator of Home Movies and Bob's Burgers. It's about a 21-year-old girl named Lucy Morningstar. Her life is a little complicated because her dad is the devil. He wants Lucy to help him take over the world and play her role, but she has other things in mind. During the first episode, she meets DJ Jesus, who is the second coming of the Messiah. She saves Jesus from a fire started by the devil, and throughout the episode, Lucy and DJ Jesus realize they like each other, and by the end of the pilot, they are in a relationship. Just because she has horns on her head doesn't mean Lucy is always up to dark deeds. In fact, she takes up a job bartending at the Devil's Restaurant, Tequila Sally's. This show is really cool, and I always enjoy watching the back and forths between Lucy and the devil. And we can't forget about Becky, the devil's advocate. She is the voice of reason to the devil's wacky, sometimes not well thought out schemes. In the pilot episode, it's hinted at that Becky is Lucy's mom. DJ Jesus also has an assistant named Judas, and of course, the devil can't run wild with his plans without anyone trying to stop him. So that's where the special clergy comes in. This is a group that consists of a nun and 2 priests. Their goal is to stop Lucy and the devil from taking over the world. They are always spying around and getting in the way of the devil's devious plans. Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, is the first Adult Swim series to have a female protagonist, and the first show on Adult Swim to be computer animated. The pilot episode, titled He's Not the Messiah, He's a DJ, aired on Adult Swim the night before Halloween in 2005. This episode was aired multiple times over the next year, until finally, the show was greenlit for a full series. Each episode has a runtime of 11 minutes, and 11 episodes were produced in total. The show began to air regularly in 2007, and was a hit with most fans of the late-night cartoon block, as Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil was a perfect fit with the obscure and weird shows that aired on Adult Swim late at night. After 2007, fans continued to watch Adult Swim, but they didn't see Lucy anymore. In 2009, creator of the series Lauren Bouchard wrote a lengthy message to fans on the Lucy the Daughter of the Devil fan page, saying, "Sorry for the long time no update. I was hoping for some good news, any news, but there is none to be had. Lucy, the Daughter of the Devil, is not going to be renewed on Adult Swim. It won't be a half hour, it won't be a quarter hour, there won't be a pilot, and there won't be any more wait and see. It's dead." He goes on to say that he thinks Adult Swim undervalued and underappreciated the show, stating that the network never saw the series as a perfect fit. That's bizarre to me, being a huge Adult Swim fan myself. Bouchard then compared Lucy to his other Adult Swim show, Home Movies, saying he wishes the show could have got the Home Movies treatment, where he could make a few seasons and build an audience. He also does great reflecting, adding that it was a right place, right time thing, and says if he pitched Home Movies tomorrow, it wouldn't get the same treatment. And he's definitely right about that in a sense. I've seen that happen to a lot of shows where if they were pitched 5 years later or 5 years earlier than the time they were, they definitely would have got the green light. So I can definitely agree with what Lauren is saying here, because at this time, Adult Swim was going through a lot of changes. He goes on to thank Adult Swim for the 11 episodes, and says they are exactly what he wanted to make. Bouchard also states that he will make sure a DVD of the show is made, and expresses his gratitude to fans of the series. If you read the comments under this post on ToonZone or AnimeSuperhero.com, people have varying opinions about the show's cancellation. Some viewers praised the show, saying it was one of the few shows that reminded them of the early days at Adult Swim because of its dialogue-driven humor. And another fan stating that they were hoping the half hours would save the show, and that Adult Swim didn't give it a chance. But on the other hand, most comments remember this show in a negative light, saying things like, "Thank goodness, this show sucked. I was never a fan of the show. I thought it was already canceled." And someone said, "Never enjoyed it either. Glad it's gone." So I guess there was a fair amount of viewers that didn't enjoy Lucy the Daughter of the Devil. What I found most interesting in this comment section is a comment stating the show never lived up to the potential of the pilot. The first episode bashed Tom Goes to the Mayor, but the series never tapped into that, and now it never will. This wasn't the only comment mentioning the pilot was better than the show. However, this is fairly common with a lot of shows, because your pilot needs to be almost perfect. That's what depends on the show getting greenlit for a full series. Do you think this show deserved a second season? Let me know in the comment section down below. Undergrads. Undergrads is an animated series focused on 4 college freshmen that first premiered in 2001. Our main character is Parker Nitz Walsh, a somewhat average guy who is actually based on the show's creator, Pete Williams. Throughout the show, Nitz gives us a fair glimpse at college life, roommates, credit cards, hot girls, crazy rituals people do to fit in, and everything in between. Rocco, a strong jock and frat boy who enjoys alcohol and women, even though he can barely pull them. Calvin Cal Evans, an overly nice ladies man who is Nitz's roommate. He's not very smart, and he always says, "Hey guy." Gimpy goes to a different college than the other guys, but he is constantly video calling them from his dorm room to stay in touch. During the show, Nitz is still chasing his high school crush, Kimmy Burton. He'll do anything he can to talk to her, in hopes of getting closer and winning her over one day. Undergrads has a really strong pilot episode. Nitz hasn't done anything during his first week at college, but all of a sudden, he meets up with Kimmy, his crush who barely remembers him from high school. And now, she wants to hear about his college stories. The only problem is, he doesn't have any yet. Nitz says, I have 3.5 hours to enjoy my first week of college. While Nitz is pacing around his room panicking, Gimpy comes to the rescue via video call. He sends Nitz over 1,600 pages of what a typical freshman does in his first week. Gimpy is always ready to help out his friends without even being asked. I really like this element of the show. Another thing I enjoy about Undergrads is that they show us what being a college student is like after school hours, as we rarely see the guys in a classroom. This show focuses on friendship and the individual personalities of the characters. The creator of Undergrads, Pete Williams, was 19 years old when he dropped out of New York University in 1997 to work on Undergrads. This was inspired by him winning an animation contest hosted by MTV. The contest was for Animation Magazine. When Pete had 2 weeks off of school, he put together a short pencil test of 4 characters based off of him and his friends titled The Click. When MTV called Pete to tell him that he won the contest, they offered him a deal to develop these characters into a show. Since Pete was new to the animation industry, the show entered development hell for a few years, until it was finally greenlit to air in 2001. 13 episodes were made. However, after only airing 6 episodes, MTV decided to cancel the show due to bad ratings. Even though Undergrads was written at MTV Studios, the animation was done by a Canadian studio, so it was a co-production, and the Canadian studio began airing the show on Teletoon in Canada. All 13 episodes aired on Teletoon for over 5 years, and Undergrads gained a following. After the show finally caught on in Canada, Pete Williams had high hopes to get a second season. MTV and the Canadian studio couldn't come to an agreement, so unfortunately, this never happened. Luckily, Pete Williams got the rights to make an Undergrads movie. In 2018, he launched a Kickstarter to make an Undergrads film. The Kickstarter was successful, and the movie is currently in the works. Go check out his YouTube channel, Undergrads the Movie, where he is giving frequent updates on the film's production. I really hope this movie is finished soon, and can't wait to give it a watch. Do you think Undergrads deserved a second season? Let me know in the comment section. Baby Blues. If you ever read the little comics in the newspaper back in the day, then you probably have seen this orange-haired man taking care of his family. This comic strip is called Baby Blues, and follows the McPherson family as they raise 3 children. Created by Rick Kirkman and Jerry Scott, this comic strip became really popular and spawned a TV series that first premiered in the year 2000. The TV show is different from the comic strip in some ways. Their daughter Zoe is still a baby, whereas in the comic strip, she is the more grown older sister. So in the show, they only have 1 child. Also, new characters are introduced, such as Zoe's babysitter named Busy, and the family who lives next door, the Bittermans. A main differentiation between the TV series and the comic strip is that we get to see more about the relationship of Daryl and Wanda. We learn what makes them relate to each other and be great parents, something that isn't focused on much in the comic strip. Daryl is a caring, responsible dad and always tries to put his kids first. While he's at work, Busy the babysitter watches Zoe because Wanda needs her me time. One segment of this show that I always like to watch is when Wanda meets Melinda Bitterman, her other mom neighbor at the fence, and they have a short conversation while Melinda smokes. When Daryl is at work, he usually vents to his chill friend Kenny about what's going on at home. These conversations are really fun to see. The Bittermans seem to have all the money they need for everything they want. At times, this seems to really bother Daryl, as he has more of an average household. Baby Blues is a good depiction of the everyday struggles faced when being a responsible parent. 13 episodes were made for season 1, and the show first aired on the WB on July 28th in 2000. 7 episodes were shown. And less than 1 month later, on August 24th, Baby Blues was cancelled. WB was notorious in the early 2000s for making shows and not even giving them a chance. Mission Hill, The Oblongs, and Baby Blues were the 3 shows that suffered the worst from this. Adult Swim saved the day and started airing the show in 2002, so we could see the remaining 5 episodes. What makes this cancellation even more insane is that, according to the creators of Baby Blues, an entire second season of the show was created. 13 full episodes that never made it to the screen. Co-creator of the series Rick Kirkman spoke on the unaired second season, saying, quote, "It was nearly complete and only needed a few final edits like replacing temporary music during production." He goes on to say that the second season was written off by the WB as an accounting practice. This is terrible and just downright disgusting. Countless hours of hard work to write and animate a full 13 episode season, and you just throw it away for tax purposes. What a shame. The WB had a talent for mismanaging shows until they were cancelled, so it's not surprising. So technically, Baby Blues did get a second season, but because of corporate greed, we will never see it. Clerks, the animated series. In 1994, Kevin Smith made Clerks, one of the best independent films of all time. Shortly after the unexpected success of Clerks, Smith thought his View Askew universe of characters would be great in an animated series. Kevin started pitching the idea around to every network, and finally got 2 offers. UPN wanted to order 13 episodes. However, after hearing rumors that UPN would not be around much longer, Kevin decided to accept a deal with ABC instead. This show is really cool because it's continuing from the Clerks movie, in a cartoon world of course, with outlandish storylines. Our protagonists are Dante and Randall, but for our antagonist, we have a new character that I find hilarious, Leonardo. In the pilot, he opens up a store across from the Quick Stop called the Quitter Stop. Anything he does is a distraction to what he is really trying to do, take over the world and have everyone bowing at his feet. Jay and Silent Bob end up accidentally blowing up the Quitter Stop after a hard long day of selling fireworks to kids. This show has some really creative writing, and I love how the animation looks. If it looks familiar, that's because the characters were drawn by Steven Silver, who drew Kim Possible. The show was also heavy with celebrity guest cameos. Charles Barkley, Patrick Swayze, and even fight announcer Michael Buffer make appearances. It's interesting to see Randall and Dante in situations that would be impossible to do in a real film. The same attitude and feel of the characters is certainly present in the show. In 2000, Clerks the animated series aired on ABC, and it was a nightmare. As we just discussed, the quality of this series was great. However, much like the WB, ABC did Clerks dirty and had a horrendous premiere, as they decided to air episode 4 first, and then episode 2 next. Well, episode 2 is a flashback episode to the pilot, so this confused first-time viewers. This is the result of miscommunication, or someone just not knowing what they are doing. This major oversight led to low ratings, and many unsuccessful test screenings. So the Clerks animated series was cancelled just like that, leaving the remaining 4 episodes unaired. The next year, a DVD set of all 6 episodes was released, and in this DVD, it has a commentary from the cast and crew, and they voiced their disagreements with the network that they had during production. I'm glad they put this on the DVD, letting us know who's to blame for the show not doing well. In December of 2002, Clerks the animated series began to air on Comedy Central, and fans could finally see the show in its entirety. And of course, in 2008, It started airing on Adult Swim. That's when I first watched the show. It didn't show up much on Adult Swim, but it definitely stuck out as unique in the block's late night lineup at the time. Clerks the Animated Series certainly deserved a second season, so I guess Kevin Smith should have took the UPN deal. That way he could have solidified a complete season of his show, but that's life. The decisions we make have a profound effect on what happens next, especially when it comes to creative decisions. Also, if you're a VHS collector like myself, we did receive the full series on VHS tape. Do you remember this show? Let me know in the comments down below. FreakyLinks. FreakyLinks is a science fiction series that first premiered on Fox in the year 2000. It follows a small group of friends as they explore the dark unknown. Ghosts, creatures, sewer people, urban legends, and everything in between. On a mission to explain the unexplainable, they document every step of the way onto their website, FreakyLinks.com. Derek's brother Adam had a website exposing the dark traits and secrets of the world, until he died a mysterious death. I think that's the main reason Derek decided to continue FreakyLinks, to find out what happened to Adam one day. Now, let's talk about the crew. Lan Williams is the tech wizard, always holding down the home base, and helping out the guys with her quick and essential research, a lot of times over the phone. Next is Jason Tatum. He is the main character Derek's sidekick. Jason is strong and very sharp, always by Derek's side in tough situations. Later in the show, we see his family drama. This really adds to the show, and we see that Jason is truly a man of principle. Chloe Tanner was Derek's brother Adam's girlfriend when he died. She starts out showing up in a few scenes, and slowly but surely becomes a part of the team. Our main character and leader of the squad is Derek Barnes, played by Ethan Embry. He is an eccentric guy who is dedicated to keeping the website running and finding out what really happened to Adam, his brother. He steps into every scenario fearlessly and ready to get some answers. Derek is great at putting clues together and realizing what needs to be done in order to solve the case. Recurring character who is very important to the story is Vince J. Elsing. Vince is a very interesting character. He shows up when you least expect it. He knows more than the average person, and possibly what happened to Adam. He lets Derek know that things really aren't always as they seem, and there is real evil lurking around the corner in this world. The concept of FreakyLinks really got me reeled in, and I couldn't stop watching. The team works so well together, and always get to the bottom of every case. As the show goes on, the FreakyLinks website rose in popularity, so fans start sending in some dark and creepy cases. The mystery around Adam's death keeps finding its way back into the storyline. While watching the show, I really wanted to know what happened to Adam. FreakyLinks has the perfect balance of drama and mystery. Ethan Embry was a stellar choice for the main character of this series. The storylines, mixed with a perfect cast, make for an incredible TV show that I think everyone should give a watch. Mission Hill. Picture this. You're a kid in the early 2000s who stays up all night watching Adult Swim. Well, one night you wake up and glance at the TV to see two guys with blue hair on the screen. This is how me and my brother got introduced to Mission Hill. The funny dialogue, cool character designs, and excellent use of bright colors keep you glued to the TV until the commercial break every time. One of the greatest animated sitcoms to ever air on television, the show first premiered on the WB in September of 1999. WB loved the concept of Mission Hill and was fully on board at first, but during the time between the show's production and it actually airing on TV, the WB changed the direction of the network, and Mission Hill became the odd man out on the channel. A couple years ago, I interviewed co-creator Bill Oakley about Mission Hill, and here's what he had to say about why Mission Hill did not work on the WB.
I'll tell you, the WB was not the first place we pitched it to. It was a very different time back then because people, first of all, most people did not have cable TV. There were 5 broadcast networks including Fox and WB. And that was mostly where TV went. Sometimes TV went on cable, but cable didn't have the money to make shows like animated shows that cost $1 million per episode. We pitched it to NBC, which didn't like it. It was not what they're doing in that must-see TV era. And we pitched it to Fox, which also passed. Fox always passed on everything we pitched. Very annoying group of people there. And then WB. And WB was very interested in it. And the thing was that at the time that we pitched it to the WB, it basically was a new network, and they didn't have any idea of what the network was going to be. And what kind of vibe it was going to have. And so they're very excited to get the show. But the thing is, in the 2 years it took between the time that we pitched the show and the time that it was finally done, they suddenly decided they were the Teenage Girls Network because they had such success with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then later all those other shows like Charmed and Roswell and all that stuff. They were the network that was doing 1 hour drama shows for teenage girls. And Mission Hill, by the time it arrived, was already kind of an orphan.
Oh, wow. So they were real hot on it at first, and then by the time they got there, what they wanted to do, they wasn't so hot on it anymore.
They were hot. I mean, some people were hot on it. Like, the thing is, they just didn't have a place to put it, Yeah. That was the other problem with TV back then, is like, if you didn't have your show on in the right time slot, you were dead. Like now, there's no such thing as time slots. Your show comes out on Netflix or whatever, or HBO Max. It doesn't matter when people watch it. But back then, if you didn't get good ratings during the time that you were broadcast, your show was canceled. And so our show was put on Friday night, which is not an ideal night for TV anyway, with all the other comedies that WB had. And those shows were all left over. They were shows targeted towards the African American audience. They were the Steve Harvey show and the Jamie Foxx show, and which were pretty successful, but were not they weren't compatible with Mission Hill. So they put Mission Hill on at 8 o'clock, and then Jamie Foxx and Steve Harvey on after it. And immediately, people were not watching Mission Hill. And not only that, it was really damaging the ratings of Jamie Foxx and Steve Harvey. I think it was 2 weeks later we were canceled. Wow. So it was kind of like the odd man out of all the shows. Absolutely. It's certain. It really was. It couldn't have been more of the wrong place, wrong time thing. Luckily, Adult Swim picked up the series and expanded its audience greatly. One main reason this show is spectacular is the two guys who created it, Bill Oakley and Josh Weinstein, seasoned comedy and TV writers who did some amazing work on The Simpsons. They put together a 10-season plan for Mission Hill. Andy and his brother Kevin have a great and very realistic brother-to-brother dynamic. Andy lives with his roommates, Jim and Posey, until his parents decide that Kevin should move in with his brother. This is when things get very interesting, and the brothers begin to butt heads from the get-go. Andy is working at a furniture store, but has dreams of being a cartoonist. Between the BS that goes down at a 9-to-5 job, and the everyday drama of living with your younger brother, along with the challenge of trying to win over the girl he wants, Mission Hill has a lot going on, and the storylines are very relatable. Mission Hill had all of the makings to be as big as Family Guy, but it just wasn't in the cards. The network really fumbled this amazing show. This show is timeless, and that's why me, along with all other Mission Hill fans, will continue to watch Mission Hill to this day. There's also a few episodes that were in production, but never made it across the finish line. These can be found online if you need even more of Andy and Kevin to satisfy your craving. If you want to watch a deep dive on Mission Hill, along with some answers from creator Bill Oakley himself, check out this video we made about the show. And that is the 10 best TV shows that only lasted one season. I would like to know, what is your favorite TV show that got canceled too soon? Have a great day, everyone, and until next time, stay up late productions.